I saw your Jubilee video.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got a story about that. The people who were arguing with me were told a different story than I was told.
Either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression I was invited to talk to a Christian.
I didn't make a claim to be a Christian, and he said, well, what do you mean? This is a Christian against 20 atheists. You don't even know where you are.
Why is it that when people ask you if you're a Christian, you don't really answer it like straightforward, like, yeah, I follow Jesus Christ, I'm a Christian? Does the Bible verse scare you when they say that they'll deny me in public, I'll deny you in front of my Father?
I'm trying to find my way.
George Janko confronts Jordan Peterson on why he will not admit that he is a Christian, and it's absolutely fascinating. So let's get right into it, guys. Shout out to George Janko and his podcast.
I saw your Jubilee video.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got a story about that. I should tell you, just so everybody knows. I haven't told this.
I definitely want to get involved in that. But what I saw is that even if they didn't have the same POV perspective, or even like they didn't think what you were saying was right, the disrespect that they were bringing to the table was just like so surprising for me. Like I don't understand how they thought they could get away with teaching you or anybody else their defense or their processing in such a disrespectful tone.
Well, I'm actually going to speak a little bit in their favor for a minute.
No.
Well, because as it turned out, as I understand, the people who were arguing with me were told a different story than I was told.
Oh.
I was told that it was Jordan Peterson against 20 atheists. They were told that it was a Christian against 20 atheists.
Everyone was speculating, why in the world did people think that they were arguing with Christians? And then Jordan Peterson was just thinking, it's just me. It's a conversation with me. And everyone's speculating. So he finally sets the record straight. That's hilarious.
That first young man, who was very disrespectful, he said something about me being a Christian. And I said, I didn't make a claim to be a Christian. And he said, well, what do you mean? This is a Christian against 20 atheists. You don't even know where you are. And I thought, what the hell? I don't know. I don't understand that. That wasn't my understanding.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that was a mistake on the part of Jubilee.
They did that.
Yeah.
Because I've heard other people come from there and say that they twisted like words.
Yes,
to, like,
it was appalling what they did. It was appalling.
What made you do that, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'd like to have the opportunity to discuss what I know about religious issues. And most of the people that I encounter who are atheistic, they're atheistic partly because they're rationalists, but often they're atheistic because they've been hurt by someone who is hypothetically affiliated with the religious side of things. They've been hurt by a Pharisee or a scribe or a lawyer. Someone betrayed them.
So you went in there with good intentions, trying to like show people that there is an other version of that.
Yeah, that the idea that you have to sacrifice your intellect to be a Christian is absurd.
One thing I truly admire about Jordan Peterson is he brought the rationality side to Christianity, to reading the Bible. Everyone used to think that if you are a Christian, you're not an intellectual. You're not smart. And Jordan Peterson brought that to the Christianity side, even though he doesn't claim to be a Christian. And he's going to get asked this very question here in a little bit. So it's absolutely fascinating.
So, and there are ways of understanding Christianity, we've talked about some of them today, that they're more profound. It's a more profound worldview than anything else I've encountered by an immense amount. There's no comparison. And there's been lots of atheists who've watched the different series I've done on the Gospels or on Genesis, on Exodus, who've begun to understand that there's far more to the biblical corpus than they had realized, that the version they've been presented with of Christian thinking is a shallow, Marxist-derived, post-Enlightenment parody that bears no relationship whatsoever to the profundity of the stories or the doctrine.
So when you were saying that they come with a shallow understanding of their faith, they make judgments on it based off of their own reflections of like their own pride. Like, I don't agree with it. And so I was seeing if that coincides with what you were saying with politics.
Well, it's the same kind of shallowness, yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Definitely.
Like, okay. So
Yeah, well, in
do you
people-
approach it the same? With,
Mostly I try to approach it just the same way that, well, I guess I was hoping at Jubilee, and I think this happened to some degree, although I'm not happy with the fact that I was set up. I think that was staggeringly corrupt and also unnecessary. And it put me on a spot and made me look like a fool at times.
That's wild that they set him up. For Jubilee to do that is just completely messed up. And it could have been just a miscommunication, one of their interns doing the conversations, but that's still so messed up. So now we're going to get into where he gets asked, why don't you claim to be a Christian then?
It's such a curious one that a lot of people want to know. Why is it that when people ask you if you're a Christian, you don't really answer it like straightforward, like, yeah, I follow Jesus Christ, I'm a Christian?
Because the question is almost always manipulative. That it's not really a question. It's a demand. It's a veiled demand that I declare my allegiance in the manner they see fit at that moment. It's like, no, thank you. First of all, that's a relatively private matter. And second, just exactly what the hell are you up to? So that's the general.
But what about the verse?
I'm not interested in trumpeting it. I'm still figuring things.
He's not interested in trumpeting it, but it makes you wonder, then I'll give you my take in a little bit. If he's not interested in trumpeting it, then that kind of means he's not a Christian. The Bible says if you confess with your mouth, it's like an open declaration that Jesus is Lord, then you will be saved. So I think he's genuinely wrestling with this question. He's not there yet, but he wants to. He's trying to figure it out. I think he's a very smart man, and just the concept of it being so simple catches him off guard.
And I'm trying to explain what I'm learning as I go, and I don't want to parade my virtuous faith, as a proclamation. I think that's false. People can decide for themselves if they're interested what I'm up to by watching. If they're interested what I do, they can derive their own conclusions. And
Judge them by their fruit.
That's the theory. Yeah. Right.
Judge them by their fruit.
When people say, too, that they're a Christian, I actually generally don't really know what they mean. I mean, you guys laid it out, and you provided some indication of what you meant in this decision that you just made. That's actually worth attending to, in my estimation, more than a casual declaration. And so I'm not that interested in casual declarations. And people declare their Christianity all the time. And part of me thinks, not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, right? So be careful what you claim. Amen. It's a high bar.
I agree. And I can tell this is very sensitive to you, because I feel like you know what it is, that Jubilee thing isn't your first rodeo. It's not the first time you've been around wolves that are trying to manipulate you. And I understand that it is a touchy subject, but you're such a good reflection of Christians. And you're such a good outspoken man that's actually doing something not only for our country, but for the country that you came from. And so I just find that weak men or weak women will look at that as a way of you saying, no, I don't want to be a part of that. When they're watching you be so wise, and you just waving the flag of confidently, even if they're trying to approach you in a negative way, be like, no, I am a man of God. Jesus is my God. Then does the Bible verse scare you when they say that they'll deny me in public? I'll deny you in front of my Father. Because you're denying them because they're trying to set you in a trap. But would you not have confidence?
I'm denying the questioner ownership over my tongue.
I feel like that's a pride thing, though, with Jordan Peterson. If he's so worried that people are just trying to twist what he's trying to say, and therefore he doesn't want to fall prey to their trap. But George Janko's question is so great. Like, he has so many people looking up to him, and if he would take ownership of his relationship with Jesus, that would mean the world. And then thousands of people would finally realize that you believe Jesus is God.
Having people put words in my mouth.
So what do you classify yourself as? Like, if Jesus came down right now, would you be his son? Or would you be somebody who's studying Jesus? Like, where does your heart lie right now? Who is your God? And I'm not trying to trap you or to be disrespectful. I just want to know where your heart lies, because the wisdom that you're pouring out into people is something that, dude, we promote it on our show and we learn from it and we grow from it. So I just want to know who, because I see you as my mentor.
What do you think?
You're
watching?
I see you as, my perspective is that you are a God-fearing man. You're learning and you're taking what God gave you and you're teaching others. From your fruits, if I tasted them, I said, this is a righteous man that's after God's heart, like David. But then your mouth will say, who says that I'm a Christian? So it does confuse me as somebody who does watch you.
That's a good answer.
This is wild. He literally takes forever to answer because this is something that's super important to him. He doesn't know. That's what I think. He just doesn't know what he believes truly. Because he never wants to tell a lie.
I don't know how to add to that, to what you already said. I'm trying to find my way. And I'm communicating with people about that voyage as clearly as I possibly can.
You're just being honest.
This is something that I absolutely love, though, from Jordan Peterson. He says that he never wants to tell a lie. And this is huge for him to say, I'm working on it. I am struggling. But I have a Bible verse at the end here that will help us whether or not we should openly confess Jesus as Lord, because there's something very, very important to that. But he's not being disingenuous. He's not lying. He just doesn't know yet.
Back to when you were writing everything and it's just the truth. As of right now, you're Dr. Jordan Peterson is a man after God's heart, and you're finding it. Is this the best way that he could describe you?
That's good.
I like that. And also I see that. I think
I'd rather let other people decide.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd rather let other people. I'm public, painfully public. And so people can draw their own conclusions. And if they want a casual conclusion, I'm not interested in providing that. And so I don't want to tie everything up in a bow and deliver it as if it's something simple. It's not simple. And so it's not like I'm trying to be opaque. You know, when you asked me that question, I'm looking for the words. It's why I asked you what you thought. If I could find the words that would be sufficiently solid, then I would use them.
Have you ever asked God to help you with that?
Yes, I would say I've asked that.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, part of seeking for the right words is that's an attitude of continual prayer. Is this the right word? You ought to feel that out. You're pretty good at that, by the way.
Oh.
You're pretty careful in your choice of words.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And so you feel to see if you're stepping on firm ground. And if I find firm ground, then I'll use those words. And if not, then I try not to. And so you can't decide a priori what words are going to come to you, right? You can try to find the words that put firm ground under your feet and be content with them. So when people ask me that question, I guess partly because I'm leery of the question first. There aren't words that spring to mind that will satisfy an ill-aimed question. People think it's obvious. They ask things that, do you believe in God? And I don't answer that question because I don't know what the hell you mean by the question. There isn't a more difficult question than that. Like, that is the hardest question. Well, it's simple. You say yes or no. It's simple, is it? It's simple, is it? The entire religious enterprise of the human race for the multiple millennia we've been pursuing our upward aim, that's all simple. It's not simple. What does believe mean? Does it mean you go to the cross willingly? And if that's what it meant, would you say that you believe? because that's what it means. So be careful what you claim to believe.
You know,
The one thing that is so amazing about Christianity is that it is simple in a way where it's a free gift and anyone who receives it will be saved because it's not by our own works. But also, I think it's fascinating that Jordan Peterson sees the most complex, complicated story in the whole grand scheme of things. Because obviously, in our feeble minds, no, we cannot understand it all. But Jesus made it in a way where it's so simple that a child can accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior. They may not completely understand all of the implications and have the greatest theology, obviously no. But they still can know that Jesus died on the cross for their sins. I totally agree. We need to take up our cross daily and follow Jesus.
I see it when you explain this, and, correct me if I'm wrong, but I see you in a humble position. Because to me, do you think that it's the matter of we'll never truly be able to fully understand the knowledge that God has, right? So who's to say, how would we be able to come to the conclusion of what's right or what's wrong, or what's the right way to do it, or what's the wrong way to do it, which category we should be in? Only God knows the real truth of it. So in your eyes, do you kind of see it in a way where you don't want to necessarily attach yourself to a certain category because you don't know, and we all don't know? The only person who knows.
I'm useful not being in a category, as it turns out. So
Why, though?
for the same reason that the frog in the Frog Prince is the one that brings the golden ball to the surface. A frog lives on land and in the water, right? He's a border dweller. Well, that's my position. I'm a border dweller. That's a psychopomp. A psychopomp is a what? It's a messenger of the gods. That's a hell of a thing to say. But I'm trying to aid people in their understanding of these deep traditions. And to do that, I have to straddle worlds. And so I'm unwilling to give up that position because it seems useful. No, there's a...
Did he literally just say, I'm not taking a side because then I will not get the opportunities if I did? As in, people won't take him seriously from one side and then people will only accept him from the other side. That's how I took it.
revival at work now in the West. Well, that's partly because people are beginning to understand the stories. And I hope that will continue. It better continue, because if it doesn't continue, all hell is going to break loose.
Yeah.
Right. You can see the signs everywhere.
Yeah, we just talked about it for the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
I'm playing a useful part, and it's a delicate balancing act, and I'm doing my best not to disturb that. And I can't say anything more than that, because that's all I know.
You're focusing on your relationship with him versus what you're supposed to be labeled as.
I think he's holding himself accountable to what God knows his heart is measured to. Mm-hmm. And I think he's being honest to us as much as he would be in front of God's presence.
Right.
So if God came in right now, I think his belief would skyrocket more, the same way that all of us would. I think for us to say that we fully believe, but then there's times where we get really struck to our nerve when we think that, for example, when people think the world's going to end, you start thinking like, well, if I'm about to meet God, am I ready to meet God? And I think that's a form of belief. Like, how much did I believe in God?
Belief is what you'll put on the line.
Yeah.
You put something on the line this weekend. Mm-hmm. Well, so then maybe you have the right to say that you believe.
Right.
At least insofar as you were able to manage that. That wasn't trivial, right? So good for you. But is it the ultimate trial? No. Although it was a real one. Mm-hmm. So belief is measured in what you're willing to sacrifice. That's what belief is measured in. And that's a hell of a thing. You know, in the story of Job, Job's conclusion is this.
So that's so fascinating. I have 2 Bible verses that I want to show to you guys from 2 different perspectives. Let's get into it. Romans 8, chapter 10, verse 9 says, if you openly declare that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. That's what everyone wants for him to admit to, 100%. That's what people want him to do. And this is the verse that I think Jordan Peterson's always thinking about. Matthew 16:24 says, then Jesus said to his disciples, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross and follow me. So who's right? Why not both? Why not take up your cross, but also be unashamed of the gospel? For it is the power of God who brings salvation to the believers, first to the Jews, then to the Gentiles, you know? So I think that's fascinating. I would love to know what you guys think in the comments down below. In the description below, you can click a link to help you to decide to follow Jesus for the first time. I encourage you to do that today. If you've never done that, guys, I promise you it will be the best decision you could ever make. And always remember, guys, Jesus loves you. Have an amazing day. God bless.